What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin's insane next move, how you can prepare for it, and what strategies I'm going to be employing, what you need to know about previous cycles. And of course, we're going to be educating a lot of the newcomers to the space, as there are tons and tons and tons of new entrants to this space that just simply were not here all of a couple of days ago. And there unfortunately are a lot of rules of the road that you need to learn, a lot of code of conduct and understanding of cycles. What's going on, guys? If you guys are coming in here, please smash up those likes. Let's get a nice group of folks in here. Wow, the chat is rolling already. Thank you guys for showing up. We have so much to cover today. We're going to be covering Bitcoin's next move. We're going to be covering the cycles. We're going to be showing you evidence of not only where this bull run is headed, at least to the best that we can predict. Every single bull run has been different than the last, but we're also going to be showing you what you can be looking for and outlining what I think of as one of your last chances to accumulate some of the high quality altcoins in the space. Because as always, and I know a lot of people they don't believe it, right? They don't buy it because they're not seeing it. They're not seeing the actual change in the charts. They're having to wait. It's funny because there's so many new people in the space right now, and they're not used to waiting. They see instant gains, they see instant wealth, and they don't realize that a lot of the people that are sitting on big gains have been investing and doing this now for probably years, right? I know most of the people I know who are having a lot of success in the space have been doing this for years now, and that's because they've put in the time, right? And so understanding that getting ahead in crypto is having a lot to do with time, a function of time in the market, learning the market, learning how to fight against emotions like FOMO, learning how to fight against emotions like FUD, do fundamental analysis, and essentially plan for big changes in the market. That is absolutely the way that you can get ahead and stay ahead. So we're going to be talking about Bitcoin's next move and how it's going to affect the market at large, what you can be doing to essentially prepare for this move, and then also what I'm going to be doing to prepare for this move. We're going to be going through a bunch of the altcoins. We're going to be going through a fundamentals on Bitcoin, a bunch of altcoins. We're actually going to be giving away the hardware wallet live here on the stream. So we have that to look forward to. You're definitely going to want to watch this video all the way through because it's going to be packed with value for you guys. I hope you're having a happy and healthy Saturday wherever you are in the world. If you are, do me a favor, destroy that like button. And remember, as always, each comment on this video is entered to win your very own hardware wallet. We'll be giving that hardware wallet away again on the next video. So make sure you get your comments in. Of course, we're also going to be going over some common things that I see, which are some scams that are affecting the general crypto community. And I kind of wanted to explain how you guys can differentiate between authentic and scam comments and stuff like that. So it's going to be a really, really good episode. I'm super excited for it. And let's just go ahead and dive in. For the people asking where they can buy Euler, I did a video on Euler yesterday. I'm going to go through all the stuff about that video, all the different details that you guys need to know. Euler's not out on the market yet, and I'm also going to teach you guys something that might seem a little counterintuitive, but once I lay out my thought process, you'll understand. I'm actually going to be telling you guys not to buy Euler at first because I'm going to show you the cycles that a lot of these new projects go through, and you'll understand what I'm saying when I get through it. But Euler's not out on the market yet, and I'm actually going to tell you guys not to try to buy it on day one. Because you'll see, we'll get to that segment in a bit. But this is the news that I think you guys really need to understand, is that the backdrop for Bitcoin has never been stronger. And as I predicted, Biden and the Dems are getting ready to introduce an historic $3 trillion stimulus package. And if you ask me, this is the first package that they're going to introduce, not the last. It might be sold to the public, sold to, the political bodies as the last. However, it's not going to be the last because there are fundamental issues with the underlying economy that even pumping this money in isn't going to stop. We're going to go through the money printing. We're going to talk about something called the velocity of money, which means for every new dollar injected into the economy, how many times that money changes hands. That's the velocity of money, which is really what creates GDP. You want money to change hands a lot. That's how you have a healthy economy. When people are hoarding money, hoarding cash, that means that the economy is not doing very well. And velocity of money is going down. So you need more and more money to stimulate the economy to the same degree. So understanding that this is a $3 trillion stimulus bill that's coming in, and what this means, not only just because this is new money that can find its way into assets that appreciate, like real estate, Bitcoin, the S&P 500, but understanding that this is an absolute signal to the biggest money managers, the biggest money bags in the world, that their dollars, their biggest reserve asset, which is cash, most people, is going to be diminishing in its buying power. And that is an absolutely astounding trend that's even more powerful than the actual money printing itself. It's the devaluation of the dollar. Let's say you have there are big multi-trillion-dollar asset managers like Fidelity, BlackRock. There's tons of asset managers with trillions of dollars in AUM, and they're looking at their own balance sheet saying, hey, if we lose 5% of value on our $1 trillion each year, well, then that's $50 billion, right? And so it's at this point becoming a situation where it's more risky not to have Bitcoin than it is to have Bitcoin. And so you're going to see an absolute, FOMO into this asset by these institutions, and every dip is going to get bought up, I think, in a more sustainable way. And so I believe that we're going to be seeing a lot of upward trajectory in Bitcoin. But what we've seen is that there's a bubbling up of the alts with it. And this is just like what happened in 2017. The alts aren't explosive yet. They're not. But they're also following suit. They're growing with Bitcoin. They're not completely being left behind. And so we're going to explain that what's going to happen when Bitcoin feels like it's reached a local peak, feels like it's reached some kind of parabolic top. And we're going to try to estimate that top. We're going to try to estimate the next couple of moves. And I'm going to explain to you how I'm preparing for it. And, for those of you who are familiar with the channel, you'll probably understand the way I'm going to approach it. With that said, I definitely wanted to play this little clip here from Eric Crown. If you guys are not following Eric Crown, he tends to be, in my opinion, the absolute gold standard of technical analysis. In the bull run, there's a lot of gurus that come out, a lot of people who come out of the woodwork who are predicting Bitcoin to go up and Ethereum to go up, and maybe they had the original thoughts, maybe they didn't. But there's a saying, don't mistake brains for a bull market. And Eric Crown over here has been calling the shots perfectly since the complete crash of 2018. And so if you can play a crash well, you can play a pump well. And so I'm going to play for you his little wrap up. But essentially what he's saying for you is that the areas of interest here are in about the $46,000 range and then the $52,000 range and upwards. And that he sees a short-term sell-off or pullback throughout the weekend as nothing to be worried about. I'm actually not going to play it because I just summarized it for you guys in probably an easier way. But you definitely want to be following Eric Crown here on Twitter and Crown's Crypto Cave. You definitely want to check it out. He does daily content on Bitcoin, and I haven't seen anyone get it right as much as he does. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. I'm not going to do individual projects right now. I'm going to wait till the end of the episode to respond to specific projects. Okay. Thanks, guys. If you guys, wow, 3,000 people in the chat. If you guys could all smash the like button, really helps get more people. Helps with the algorithm to show this content to more people. We're going to be going over what I think of as some really, really important stuff today. So I think it's very, very, very good to get this content out to people so that they can prepare for what's going on here and that they don't get wrecked. There's a lot of good information today. So pretty much one of my favorite technical analyst minds in the entire business is saying that they're looking for more upside, looking for this run to extend even upwards to 60 or 80K, right, before we get a meaningful pullback. And this is, of course, due in many ways due to this story, which is 22% of the circulating USD was printed in 2020. And this is just the beginning, right? As we're seeing even more stimulus planned, I believe with the full control of the money printer in the hands of the more progressive party, we're going to see QE, quantitative easing, on a level we've never seen, and this is going to affect everything. This is the story of that happened in 2020, and in my opinion, it's just the beginning of the story. I personally have an opinion that this leads to orders of magnitude more printing than we've even seen. And that's what's going to drive an incredible new adoption for Bitcoin. And what we're looking at here right now is actually the 2013 chart for Bitcoin. This is the 2013 run for Bitcoin. And you can see how it was growing week over week here. It did about, about a 10x here in just about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, right? And if we go back a little further, what we can see, make sure that my head's not in the way here. Yeah, did about a 10x here in just about 6 weeks or so. If we go back a little further, we can see that we got, what is this, from $16 up to, $36 in about, 3-4 weeks. Like this type of growth is kind of what we're experiencing now with Bitcoin down in this part of the parabola. And so I wanted to show you guys, because we're having, get out of here, because we're having this kind of growth right now on the weekly chart. And you can see we've done about a 2x in 3 weeks or so. Having a 2x in 3 weeks is extremely, extremely fast as we broke free from our previous all-time highs. And if you look here, this is actually the 2017 run. This is the 2017 run. And what you can see here is you can see this 2x took about 5 weeks back in 2017. Now, it's common assumptions that the cycles are getting longer. Over the course of the asset maturing, the growth is slower and longer. That's the belief, right? By the biggest, I've had on some of the head analysts over at Bloomberg, Mike McGlone, who's a good friend of mine. He's actually been coming on the channel now for about 3 years. And he actually was laying out his theory that these cycles should be longer. So if we're seeing a more aggressive growth pattern out of Bitcoin now than we have seen in the previous cycle, that completely upends what we thought about these cycles, and again shows the complete resilience of Bitcoin and how it's so different than other asset classes. And it confirms the concept that we very well might be in a Bitcoin super cycle, where we do what I'm predicting, which is have the liquidity in Bitcoin push up closer to those astronomical numbers, closer towards $1 million, and have the cycle be much longer and more aggressive slope and longer. Think about that. You're growing faster for a longer period of time, which is absolutely insane. 3,400 of you guys in the chat. I appreciate you guys all showing up. If you guys could all give me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. I hope you guys are doing well. And so what I'm trying to say here is we might actually be doing something in this particular bull run that we did in 2013, which is called the double bubble, or as my friend Ivan on Tech would say, the double bubble. And it's essentially that we might have a big blow off top here of about 10x or so blow off top, and then have a several month consolidation before we do another run up here. So you'll see that there's 2 bubbles in 1 year, and that wouldn't actually surprise me. But what I would actually look for is that each bubble takes a little longer than 2013. And then we might have 2 bubbles that sort of sustain us for 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. And then we get up to some astronomical highs. And this is kind of what I'd be looking for. And when we do get something like a meaningful pullback here, like you saw a pullback here of, look, this was like 76% or something, right? This huge drop in 2013. You can see here that from this top here of about, what was this? Get out of here. You can see here that from this top here of about $254, you can see that Bitcoin came down. Let me actually get the wick to wick perfect. You can see that it came all the way down here to about $60. And so that's like a 75% drop. And in this time, right, this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. In these weeks of consolidation and crash, what you see is a lot of people will get shaken out. A lot of the newbies will get shaken out because they're not here for the right reasons. And I've seen it already, to be honest. And, this channel has been absolutely growing at an astounding rate. I've been doing daily content for 3 years now. And in the last week, I got more followers than I got in my first 2 years of doing content. So I can tell you guys that there's a lot of new entries, a lot of new faces, and most people aren't familiar with how things work here in crypto. Now, the point of crypto is that it is a big psychological game. And I did a video several months ago saying 99% of you won't make it. You won't actually get rich from crypto because you will constantly give into your emotions. And your emotions during a time like this will tell you that Bitcoin is dead, Bitcoin is crashing, and you need to run for the hills. More importantly, during a time like this, your emotions will tell you that Bitcoin is dead, Bitcoin is crashing, and you need to run for the hills and get out of this asset, right? If you're looking at a crash from 1,100 down to 200, right? You're looking at an 85% crash or something like that. This is going to tell most people that you need to run for the hills and get out, right? And it's going to shake a lot of people out. It's going to shake you out of your coins. And that's what's so hard is I can't save y'all. I can't save all of you because there's just going to be so much emotion involved. And most people are going to do things that are, probably foolish throughout this bull run because it is an emotional time. It is exciting. And people are making more money oftentimes than they've ever made so quickly that they give into their emotions when they're also losing that money more quickly than they've ever made it. Which is why you really have to understand that that to be successful in this industry, you need to understand it first. Most people come in and they want immediate pumps. People are complaining that their alts aren't moving as hard as Bitcoin, or that Bitcoin did a 2x and their alts only grew by 30%. And to me, those mentalities show me that you're looking at a 1 week period. A 1 week period where we've had how many 10x's, how many 12x's, we've had 20x's, we've had 7x's, all in the course of the time that Bitcoin's done, a couple x. And so people have a very narrow perspective, and I want to encourage you guys to understand that the emotional nature of this game can shake you out. So what am I expecting to happen here? Well, look at this. Look at this chart. I mean, look at that. That might as well be a straight line, right? So I'm expecting for this to maybe continue a little bit because, again, we have an unprecedented climate here. We have unprecedented levels of stimulus, of devaluation of the dollar, all of which are going to push Bitcoin up, especially as they're measured in US dollar. But in the end, where is it? In the end, what we're going to be looking at here is that when Bitcoin does meaningfully retrace, the whales, the big sellers, as we'll see here, we actually have evidence that the big whales here are starting to sell. And so this is the trigger that will bring in money into the altcoins. As they're seeing, large whales began to sell even as Bitcoin price fell below 40,000. Within 3 hours on January 7th, so-called mega whales on Binance sold off a total of 4 times, driving extreme volatility. So what you can see here is that some of these old bag holders, the big mega whales in Bitcoin, are starting to dump into this retail FOMO. And again, the way it typically works is you get the institutions and the smart money in at the base layer, then you get some excitement, the early adopters, the big brains, and then you get the big sort of retail excitement. And the fact that my subscribers are growing this fast makes me feel like this could be a moment of parabola, of euphoria. And that could be a signal that there's a little bit of danger ahead, guys. And as much as I believe long-term that we're going to go to 500 and a million, I always encourage people to look the other way when things are going insanely well. Whenever you look at a chart and you see this kind of insanity, I'm always preaching about the things that aren't pumping yet because I've seen this happen so many times. I've been doing daily content for over 3 years, and I've been in the space for much longer than that. And I can tell you that after seeing a lot of things, here we are looking at Google Trends. Let's look at Google Trends for a sec. You can see here that you have Bitcoin still 2x what it was when it had this 100 read, but it's at a 60 read, which is the highest. I mean, look, Google Trends is parabolic, finally. And then you have Ethereum at all-time highs, right? And so what it tells me is that the big whales might start sensing the retail crowd coming in, and there might be an opportunity there where they finally start letting go of some of those positions. But what we're seeing here is that it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. And that's why alts aren't pumping, is because the big Bitcoin bag holders still haven't pulled the trigger yet. They still haven't created one of these blow-off tops yet that you saw back in 2017. Remember, during 2017, during this time, all the way through where was it? From all the way through January, what we saw during this Bitcoin bloodbath, right? For these 2 weeks or so, what we saw was altcoins going absolutely bananas. We saw all-time record highs in alts right as Bitcoin came down. And that's what I'm expecting to have happen. It also happened again. Right, is this in June? Yeah, it also happened again right here in June. This is where we got our first 100Xs, and this is where I keep talking about. So this is when you see these tops that the whales actually start letting go of their stacks. That's when you start seeing the altcoins go parabolic. And that's why I keep talking about altcoins, because you never want to constantly chase the pump. If you constantly chase the pump in Bitcoin, or crypto in general, you'll constantly be behind. You will constantly be one step behind the market, and you will never be looking at your portfolio going, yes, I predicted this, I got ahead of this, and now I'm benefiting from it. 5,300 of you guys, wow, that is probably the highest amount of viewers I've ever had on this channel concurrently. Just want to say thank you guys for showing up. It means a lot. I hope you guys are having a great day, and if the content's helping you out, please give me a thumbs up. It really means a lot. We're going to go into some really good altcoin news here in a second. And this again shows you, this guy, Altcoin Psycho, really cool Twitter account that I've been following for several years. He says, in my opinion, this is one of the last opportunities to finish accumulating certain altcoins. And this is because the altcoin season moves so violently when it happens that you're not going to have time to sort of wake up and smell the coffee. You have to predict, you have to get ahead, you have to anticipate, or else you're not going to prosper. You're not going to prosper. And I said this altcoin season is going to rip a hole in your MetaMask. And so what we're going to talk about a little bit is, how I see things. Looking here at Polkadot, I wanted to use this example because what you're going to see with a lot of altcoins is a life cycle. And I'm going to talk a little bit. Well, first, let me talk about this at the end, actually. But what you'll see here is a lot of these altcoins, Ethereum, sitting pretty much at almost the highest it's been in years, right? It's certainly at a high for this cycle. You have Cardano, the highest it's been in years. Highest it's been in years. In fact, over the last couple of months, look at this growth pattern. You're telling me Cardano is not getting pumped? You're telling me the alts are getting left behind? Look at it. It was like, what was this? 14 cents. It's up here at 32 cents, right? If we go a little further back here, what was this in November? It was 9 cents. It's coming up between a 3 and 4x, right? It's moving. It's moving, right? If we come back here down, we see it comes all the way down to 7 cents, right? And so Cardano's moving. It's some of the highest it's ever been, right? Let me move this little back. Then you see the same thing with Chainlink, almost near all-time highs, right? You see the same thing with Celsius Network. This thing has been an absolute monster over the course of 2020, look at it. It did have this blow off top here at about 649, but that was in January, right? It's been like at the beginning of 2020, this thing was what, like 40 cents? And now it's up here at $6. Amazing, right? And so then you have synthetics up here near all-time highs. Where is it? It's just it hit all-time highs just a couple of days ago here, right? And so the alts are bubbling up the exact same way that they did back in 2017. And I use this example of NEO because NEO is the perfect example of a trending altcoin that during 2017 did the exact same thing, right? It had a moment here, had its moment here, and let me get back here. It had its moment here in 2016 when it first rebranded and got a lot of hype. And then what we saw here was just, let me get back a little bit. And I use this a lot because it's really important that you realize that there's this bubbling up that it does throughout 2017. Remember, Bitcoin's rising throughout this whole period. It's rising. And you see NEO rising too. Nothing too dramatic. But then out of nowhere, you get this move up to, boom. Well, here, let me show you, actually extend the chart out, right? You get this parabolic move, right? And so you have this bubbling up. This is as Bitcoin is building steam. Then Bitcoin breaks out. You see NEO kind of breaking out. And then right as all of a sudden out of nowhere, you just see liquidity flow into the alts, just out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden, when Bitcoin really has its retracement in June, you see it go from here. It was just a couple of, a dime, between a dime and 20 cents, and then it ends up at $11, right? And that's the kind of movement that happens where there's the bubble up and then there's an explosion when the liquidity flows. And so people who are always trying to have their portfolio constantly pump are going to constantly give into the emotion that the market wants you to have, that the whales want you to have. They want you to dump your coins and FOMO into Bitcoin at the top. They want to sell that into you, and then they want to pump the altcoins and get the most out of it. The whales are not your friends. The big investors are not your friends. They're not your buddies. They're not your pals. They don't want you to win. And the biggest money bags they actually want you to lose, right? And so you have to understand there are predators in the ocean with you right now. And if you always give in to the emotion, if you always chase after the big greens, then you'll end up always behind the 8 ball. I mean, look, Aave bubbled up almost all-time high. Is this all-time high? Its all-time high was 2 days ago, 127. It's pretty much at all-time high, right? So you're seeing all these Kusama insanely high, right? Its all-time high was 3 days ago, right? Bubble up. The bubble up is real. RSR, almost at all-time highs. Its all-time high was 2 hours ago. 2 hours ago here. The bubble up is real, guys. All the God tier coins that I have on my list, Thorchain, RSR, Kusama, Synthetics, all these God tier coins are bubbling up to their all-time highs, right? You have this 4 days ago, it had its all-time high, right? Thorchain, almost at all-time high. And so the bubble up is there. It's happening exactly like last time. And just because you're not seeing explosive green numbers doesn't mean they're not coming, because they have to come. That's where the next play is. Why would they leave that much? You're telling me that this cycle, the Bitcoin whales are just going to leave the 100x and 1000x's on the table and not go for those? Absolutely not. They're going to go for them, and you want to get ahead of them. And so as Bitcoin starts to get overextended into uncharted territory, if you don't already have your bags packed, I typically tend to focus on the altcoins, because the altcoins are going to be the places where you can have these explosive gains, and you just don't want to be suckered into the emotional sort of be held hostage emotionally by the Bitcoin run, because that's what they want you to feel. That's what they want you to believe, is that you're missing. They want you to drop your bags on one side, grab over there at an all-time high, and then miss out on the big pump. And it is coming. It is coming. There's no chance it's not. Same with Polkadot, right? We were talking about Polkadot. And so let me talk now about Polkadot, because Polkadot's a good time for me to talk about life cycles of coins. Polkadot in its current form as the Ethereum sort of interoperator scaler, with the explosion of DeFi. If you guys weren't here over the summer, DeFi exploded over the summer. It absolutely exploded over the summer. And then with the explosion of DeFi, what we saw was that the need for a scaling mechanism for Ethereum, not because we want to leave Ethereum, but because we want to make Ethereum better, right? And true interoperability with Ethereum, the need for that was really there. And so what Polkadot promises is to interact with and interoperate with Ethereum as well as other chains. And Polkadot's architecture is really something that has captivated the crypto audience. So what you saw was this explosion from here. Let me actually show you on market cap so you can get a sense of how big this is, right? Get a sense of how big Polkadot is. But what you saw here is this explosion from, I guess it doesn't show the market cap going back, so we'll go back to price. It's a multi-billion-dollar project, but what you see here is it's around the $2 range, and then it explodes up here to about like $6 or so. And I kind of told people to stay away from it because I thought it was a little bit too heavy. But then what you want to see here on coins is you want to see this period of malaise. You want to see a period where people stop paying attention, and you want to see a little bit of a cup bottom. You want to see a little bit of a bottoming pattern, right? Because most people won't be able to get there early. A lot of people won't be able to get there early. And you can consider this kind of Polkadot's coming out party. There was many people invested in Polkadot for years before. It's an older project, but this was when Polkadot really hit the main stage as a huge competitor to what's going on here with, the smart contracts platforms. And so if you buy into this FOMO, then for months you're just sort of sitting on your bags hoping they pump. What I always encourage people to do is fight against this FOMO, right? And sort of wait. And wait. And as things get really boring here throughout November, October, this is where you want to start biting off pieces of the cherry, right? This is when you want to start packing your bags, when things are boring. And this is a strategy that I think is extremely important to learn, because new projects will have this same pattern. New projects will have this pattern to the T. And then if you do your analysis and you're sure about the fundamentals, then you get this, which is the breakout. Once it overcomes its previous highs, and you get an explosive breakout. And so this is true of one of my favorite projects, Alliance Block, which we've been covering. I actually found out about this project pre-launch as well, but I didn't cover it, and I'm really glad I didn't, because this is what happened at launch. Is you got this huge explosive launch, and it just completely couldn't support itself because there wasn't enough going on yet. Then we got essentially a bottoming pattern, right? You got this bottoming pattern here where it hits about 4 cents, a little under 4 cents, kind of rocks around this area, and you can see a flattening out. And you can see this is over the course of days and weeks, right? You can see throughout October and early November. And then I finally, as it was coming down again to touch these lows, I actually covered it here. I covered it here at about 4.5, 5 cents. And this is where you can find these really transformative opportunities. Even if you're not getting the inside information, even if you're not getting into pre-sales and finding out about things before they launch, you can get things when they cool off if you're good at doing your research. And I said this before, that research in this particular industry and knowledge in this particular industry has more value than I believe any other. Knowledge, research, and just learning to understand the market here is incredibly powerful, can be transformational, can get you to a place of financial freedom. It's happened for me and many other people I know, right? And so what you have here is a bottoming pattern that is clear, right? You have this aggressive downslope, and then you have sideways action. And you see it attempt to go down a bunch of times, and it just didn't want to go down there. And then, do some research. Find out, is there something going on? Is something not being reported? Try to reach out to the team, ask around, sniff around, figure out what data you can gather. Because if there's something really good here, then you can assume that there might be some build back up towards this prior high and beyond. And that's exactly what happened with Alliance Block. And now you can see this little period here, and even this prior high looks like nothing as we're pushing up again towards even higher highs, right? And so again, learning to avoid that initial jump off. And the project I talked about about yesterday, Euler, will be the same way. It'll have this huge hype cycle. I don't know how long it will take to get to this sideways boring action, but this will probably be the way that you'll want to get involved with Euler. If you want to get involved, not financial advice, this is just what I think is going to happen, which is that there's going to be this very hotly contested launch. People know about the paradigm shift. People know about how important this technology, this new sort of blockchain native options platform is. It will get hotly contested. There will be a lot of fireworks, and then it'll get boring. And in this boringness is where you want to start biting off chunks when nobody's looking. And that's why when Bitcoin is stealing the show, just like here with Alliance Block, just like with Polkadot, just like with pretty much every meaningful altcoin, Ramp is another one that we talked about again while it was a little boring after the heat had faded a little bit, and now it's doing the same thing. These are the types of coins that we want to focus on, is the ones that are solid, that have a lot going on, that have fundamental strength, and that are boring and that nobody's looking at. That's what you want. And occasionally I'll get really excited about a coin like Euler, where, it's just a concept I love. Like I got excited about Rook, right? And then there's a chance for you to get involved. Obviously Rook was a little further in its life cycle and now is kind of breaking out. But usually you want to wait a little bit, and that's the way to play it, because these launches tend to be aggressive and they can get over frothed and overhyped, right? So that's what you want to do, is if you want to get into hot new coins, you need to fight against that FOMO. You need to fight against those emotions and wait, usually, and then you'll get the best entries, right? And you can get this kind of action. I also wanted to talk about this here, because this is something that I've seen a lot of people. I did a video on this, right? But even that's not enough. I need to talk about this each and every day, unfortunately. This is not me. This is not me. This is a big scam going on in crypto, and this is not me. This is someone who took my logo, even though they didn't do it right. You can see they didn't do it right because my logo doesn't have any area around it. There's no white space or dark space around it. But they took my logo here, and they're pretending to be me responding to comments, and I have to literally go through for hours and remove all of these. But I will never, ever, ever ask you guys to contact me. I will never present you with opportunities or ask you to PM me or especially ask you to send me funds. Never, ever, 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 ever. I make a point out of making all the information free. I don't have any VIPs. I don't do any special arrangements with anybody. And even on the Euler video yesterday, I got some people saying that, they gave me coins or this or that, or that there was something kind of like untoward about the way I was presenting Euler. And I think people just don't know how I do this channel, because for the last, 6 or 7 months, I get hundreds of inquiries every week of projects begging to pay me to be on this channel. Hundreds. And I say no to all of them because I only cover the absolute best coins in the space, period. And I miss out on some things because I'm too picky. But whenever I find something I like, it's because I genuinely love it and I'm actually invested into it. And I invested my own money into Euler. And again, this is the kind of thing where it's like, you'll come to learn that I get hundreds and hundreds of I get hundreds of inquiries, and I just refuse most of them, if not all of them. I've met with probably 30 projects this week alone, and of those, I said no to I think all but one of them for actually wanting to invest in them and cover them. That's how I work. It is impossible. There's no price amount that can get you onto this channel. It's purely about the quality of the project. I've been working daily in this space for 3 years, and I've been building my own project on the side, which I'll be actually revealing to you guys. And I've been building technology for over 11 years. And so I actually know what it takes to make something work. And that's kind of that's the experience I try to bring to you guys. And I will not present something to you unless I think it really has legs, period. So this is another scam that you guys need to know about, which is this is like a fake comment here. It's like a generic comment. I enjoyed your video. I actually am tired of worrying about stocks and stuff. And then you see this fake conversation below, and it leads to this. It leads to this phone number being dropped. And then they're all talking about how amazing this person is, right? And so this phone number is a scam, right? This is the scammer. So this is sort of like this fake conversation. And so you guys got to understand that this is the other type of scam in the comment section. And so I try to hide these, but they come out like crazy. They're just everywhere under every comment. And I run 2 other businesses besides doing the content daily. So it's really hard to delete all of them. I need to maybe hire someone to do that, but it's hard, right? It's hard to keep up and to delete all of them. I do my best. I spend hours each day deleting them, and I pin a comment under every video saying just like they're scammers, right? So don't fall for that stuff. This is also kind of an interesting thing that you'll see, which is, I just wanted to bring this up. It was an interesting tweet. Solana is a scaling solution that's being created by this young billionaire, Sam Bankman-Fried, who's the owner of FTX exchange. FTX is a multi-billion-dollar volume exchange every day. Another California kid like myself. And people are just... There's all these salty, soggy people in the industry right now of people just saying that everything's overvalued and everything's in the altcoin industry is junk. And there's so many salty, soggy people. And it's really kind of confusing to me. And I kind of understand Sam's reaction here, because as we're in this bull run and people are having the opportunity of their lifetimes, I'm seeing like soggy comments, like more soggy comments. And maybe it's just more views and more negative comments that are growing at the same ratio. I don't know. But it's like kind of offensive to the people who have been working here for 3 years, and we were getting beat up. We were getting smacked down by the industry every day for years, waiting for this. And now that everything's going perfectly, like better than you could ever dream of, you see more soggy comments. And it's like, look, if you guys aren't realizing how lucky you are to be here in crypto right now, if you don't get the opportunity in front of you, then literally don't comment, don't follow. We've put in the work, we've suffered for years to get to here. And so people who come in yesterday and are mad that they're not rich tomorrow, it's like I don't have a lot of pity for that, because I've prioritized this and sacrificed so much to be in crypto and to work so hard to build this audience, to build my products, to build this community, and to give so much value, that it's like, look, if you guys aren't recognizing how lucky you are to be a part of this, then I kind of agree with Sam's sentiment here, which is like, look, I just don't have time to sit around and beg you to understand. We don't. You are incredibly lucky to be here in the first quarter of 2021, incredibly lucky to be in crypto, I believe. And so, there's going to be a rocky road. There's going to be ups and downs, but there's a lot of this trollery going on right now. And I can't believe it, really. I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. But regardless, that's sort of it for me. I'm going to go into some Q&A now. I really think everyone's super lucky to be here. I feel super lucky to be here. I want to talk about the coins you guys care about. I want to say thank you again for showing up and watching this. And this is really an insane opportunity we're at the base of right now. Ethereum, Bitcoin hitting all-time highs. It's just a magical time to be alive, right? With this kind of a backdrop, right? With this kind of a backdrop. And so I want to thank you guys again. If you guys are enjoying the content, if you guys are liking the coverage of altcoins, if you guys are excited for what the crazy results of this year might bring, then please give me a thumbs up. It really shows you support the channel and the content. I know I've missed a lot of super chats, guys. I know I have. I'm going to try to actually go back and cover those now. Let me see if I can possibly recover them. And so let me go and try to get involved. I thank you guys all for super chatting me. Sometimes I have to get through my content. I can't just constantly divert for every super chat, even though I really thank you guys for all that stuff, and it means a lot that you would even do that. Gosh, I can't go back. Can't go back. Maybe I can. Maybe I can. All right, not seeing it. All right, super chat, zero exchange. No, I don't know about it. AVAX is cool though. My stimulus check has doubled, put the whole 600 in. Smart, very smart. API 3, yeah, I'm a big fan of API 3. Oracles in general are going to heat up big time. You need a couple of ingredients for DeFi to work. Linear finance, yeah, it's interesting. It's okay. I think it'll probably pump when DeFi mania comes back. There was a DeFi little bubble in August, and then that to me was the pre-bubble, right? That was the pre-bubble, and everyone thinks DeFi is dead. And again, you can see this little bubbling of DeFi and growing back up into the right again of the coin values as well as just the industry in general. And so people think, oh, these days of all these DeFi products going absolutely bananas is done. No, it's not. I don't believe that. I believe it's, again, just a complete misdirection. Can you talk about what if we hit euphoria in the next couple of months, 2 months? Is bull market over at that point? And as always, thank you for your content. No, I think that the bull market, the bubble being burst would lead to an insane altcoin season of titanic proportion, where you guys should take some profits off the table if you get 1,000x's, of course, or 100x's, right? If you're making, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, if there's some meaningful amount of money, you should definitely take something off to the side. That being said, I do believe that there's a chance of a double bubble and this continuation pattern. And again, I'm a long-term investor in crypto in general. So I do believe that even if we do have some kind of bubble burst situation, that it's temporary. It's temporary. Okay, another super chat. Did you see any spikes in BCH, XLM, or ETH anytime soon? Yeah, that'll be the next. First, it goes Bitcoin, then majors like those. Then it goes down to the mid caps, and I think the DeFi majors. Oh gosh, the super chats are just rolling in. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Love these strong God tiers bubbling up and chasing candles. Getting in now, or are these our ticket? I think that the God tiers are some of my favorite long-term plays for this entire bull run. Obviously, I've made that clear. But obviously, there's also new coins coming into the space like Euler that I think are going to do really well. There's new coins coming into the space that are much smaller. Alliance Block, PRQ. There are several ones that I really love that are going to potentially do really, really well as well. And as they come into the picture, I'll let you guys know about them. A lot of the Polkadot parachain projects are going to do really, really well over the coming months as they win parachain auctions. Coins that I've already covered like Fala and ChainX. Let's see. Oh God, it's coming in so fast. Euler is not live yet, people. Advice is not to buy on day one, but subscribe and keep here for your eyes open and ears open. Yes, Euler's not out yet. Don't buy on day one. It's going to be an absolute bloodbath, and it's probably going to pump like crazy on day one, and then it'll retrace a lot on day 7 or 10, right? Do you actually think ETH can go to 87K by EOY? Is that more of a long-term prediction? To me, it's not about what time it goes to 87K. It's about what the value of the network is, what is going to be built on top of it, how much commercial activity and real financial activity is going to be housed on Ethereum, and how disruptive the technology is. Do you care if you bought Amazon in 2005 or 2003, right? It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. So to me, it's about understanding the future, and it's not... The best thing you can do in crypto in general is to have a low time preference. The lower your time preference, the higher your results. And that has been proven. People who just sit on their hands and believe in their bags and understand that the future is bright for the disruptive technologies in crypto, those people do incredibly well. Of course, if you get like 1,000x and there's a big blow off top, don't be foolish, don't be greedy, take some profits. All right. And I have videos on how to take profits as well. Any thoughts on ADA right now? Yeah, I'm going to be doing an ADA video. I think it fits into the majors category and kind of like the Polkadot category of like the what's there after Ethereum. I think it's an interesting concept. What do you think about Acropolis and Aavegotchi? I have some Acropolis. I need to check up on them. They were a really hot Polkadot project back in the summer, and then they really kind of collapsed, and I need to figure out whether they're still on track. I haven't done a deep dive. Aavegotchi I love because it's just a cool NFT concept, but I actually sold my bags like a while back during the crash. I'll potentially get more Aavegotchi. I need to check in on their project, but I generally love NFT concepts, and I believe 2021 will be a fireworks year for NFTs, as I've said many times before. Okay, cool. God, there's so many super chats coming in, guys. I appreciate it. Hard to keep up though. Okay. And this is now frozen. Cool. Do I like Cartesi? I like it. I don't own it. Cypherium, what do you think? I think I'm not quite sure which project that is. I've definitely looked at it before, but I can't say anything right now. Save 3, decentralized censorship, proof of social media launching soon. Yeah, all the social media plays have failed, so you'll have to be convincing me. I think, Libra's coming in soon. You're having WhatsApp, Instagram, and TikTok are all learning how to put financial opportunities within their products. So not so sure about social media plays. It's going to be really hard. Going to be really hard for social media plays. Elrond, not a holder. I know the team well. Not a holder. Exceed Me. I passed on this. I got offered this one in pre-sale, and I passed on it. Esports is way too hard. It's so hard. It's so cutthroat. Let's see, the graph. So the graph, when it was going up parabolic, I actually had some people telling me that they thought it was, they knew it was essentially a coordinated VC pump because the graph was essentially like a VC project. And so the goal was to essentially drive insane FOMO by pumping this thing up like crazy and then dump into the retail. And all day for 3 days, all you heard about was GRT, the graph, the graph, the graph. And I was getting tons of flack for it in my chat because I said not to buy it. And then literally days later, anyone who bought it is completely crushed, right? And so I don't want to say I told you so, but again, I like to stay away from the super crazy pumps for a reason. GRT. I stay away from super pump. Why can I not type GRT? I stay away from the super pumps because they tend to super dump, right? And that's just kind of how it is, right? And so you see this, again, you see this pattern, right? So here we have graph, it does this, and now you're seeing, all right, well, the lows are coming in around 28, pumping up to like 39, and now it's ranging. So now you're looking at graph, and you might say, all right, well, maybe there's something here, right? Maybe there's something here. I actually happen to know, though, that because I'm really good, I actually have a sponsor on the channel, Parsec. Been working with them for a long time. As you guys will come to know, I only take sponsorships from absolutely phenomenal projects, and I'm completely explicit with you when I actually am discussing a project that I've had any kind of arrangement with. And Parsec, we brought from like 5 cents up to like 70, 80 cents, right? So like, was that a 16x almost? And they're just getting started. All these projects want to partner with Parsec because the graph, which does a similar thing, is too slow, right? And so I'm hearing that Parsec is getting a lot of these people who are frustrated with the graph. And the graph is, their market cap is 430 million, whereas PRQ is like 50 million or something. So like a 9x between PRQ and the graph, and people are flooding from the graph to PRQ. So I'm always looking at where the technology is, the use cases, and the undervaluation is. And when people were asking me about the graph up here, saying, oh, how could you tell us not to buy the graph? It went to 75. Yeah, well, I mean, look at it now, right? So I don't know. If you want to get the graph, it looks like it's kind of bottoming. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe this will be a multi-billion-dollar melt up in the future. I don't have any. I'm not too interested in it. But I think it's a good lesson learned, understanding what happened with the graph. What exchange can we use to buy Euler when it comes out? It'll be on Uniswap. Where do you see Parsec going in the next couple of months? Will you have upcoming content? I will have upcoming content on Parsec. I'm a long-term collaborator with their project, and I have just a very, very good relationship with the team. I was literally the first person to pick up on this and cover them and really understand their value. And these are just some unknown guys. This isn't like, you got to be careful when there's a bunch of insiders doing a project, a bunch of VCs, a bunch of well-known entrepreneurs doing stuff that didn't have to grind and hustle their way up, because a lot of times they'll be kind of given this initial kind of hype wave. And that can be really bad because then projects get hundreds of millions of dollars out of nowhere and it takes the motivation away. Whereas Parsec are just some humble, hardworking guys from Eastern Europe that had no connections, no friends, and they built amazing product. They build their own code language, and now they're crushing it. And that's what you want to see. You want to see people who start humbly and grind up and do it the hard way. And that's what I look for, is quality that's built the hard way. You don't want to see the shiny objects. Too many shiny objects is a red flag in crypto. Hit that like button if you're loving the content. Thank you, Adam Vernon. 6,600 people in the building. I really appreciate it. If you guys could all like. We only have 2,800 very lonely likes. If you guys could turn that big thumb blue, I would really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Uniland, thanks for the content. Yeah, Uniland again is cooling off a lot actually. But I've been a buyer of UFT pretty consistently all along. And this is a good example of a project that will probably come back with a vengeance during DeFi mania, right? It had this kind of like, it isn't your typical hype. It did have this hype wave the first day, and then it kind of dumped down. And then we were really covering it hard here in this sort of 13 to 15 cent range. And then it beasted all the way up to almost $1.90. And it's had some troubles here since, and now it's really dropped down. But again, like, there's some support here in the 30 cent range, the 30 to 50 cent range. I personally am a fan, right? I'm an investor. I've been an investor. I was buying in the pre-sale. I was buying here at 13 cents. I even bought up here at like 25 cents. And I've been covering it all along. And so I think that there's something really here with what their concept is about. And I'm just going to sit on it and see. It's hard to predict short-term stuff, but I do think there's an opportunity that when DeFi Mania comes back, something like a Uniland, which is really solid actually, would end up catching a really interesting wave. So again, when things are down and they're depressed and they look bad, that's usually a sign for me to pay closer attention. Whereas most people like to run away from things when they're down. And that's the emotional cycle you need to learn to overcome here in crypto if you want to get ahead. What about Ren? I love Ren. It's on my God tier coins list. Synthetics, again, love it. Is ADA considered a shiny object? ADA is not exactly a shiny object, but it's not a shiny object, if that's what makes sense. I mean, in the end, you'll find on my content, I just don't tend to focus on the biggest market cap coins besides Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then, yeah, Polkadot and ADA are definitely like gonna do well. However, you know, for me, giving alpha on coins that can really grow dramatically, like really dramatically, like Kusama's done like a 70x, right? And Celsius, or where is it? You know, Parsek's done like a 16x and all these things. And Uniland did like a 8x or something. Octo did like a 7x, and all these projects, they allow for you to grow your portfolio, take profits and put them into longer term things. Like say you really think Cardano is the future, you can ride one of these smaller caps and then dump some profits into Cardano. And that's sort of how I personally play it, not financial advice, but this strategy has worked really well for me because especially I find that a lot of people are looking to start with smaller amounts of money and grow them more dramatically. And yeah, Bitcoin's probably going to hit like $10 million or $15 million, but that might take 10 years or 15 years. And if there's anything I've learned, it's that people tend to have, you know, life happens, right? Life happens. And a lot of people don't have 40 grand that they can just stash away for 10 to 15 years until they're filthy rich. It's just usually not the case. And so having the ability to have more activity, having the ability to have your research rewarded in a shorter period of time, those are the types of opportunities that I try to look for. And these types of opportunities, again, look, the market throughout October and November, people were calling it like potentially a bear market. People were exiting the space during this time while we were making a killing. And so this is the type of stuff where if you learn to do your research really well, you can make a killing while nobody else is. And that's how you grow your stack so that when Bitcoin does explode, you have a much bigger stack than when it did before, if you had just sat in the corn. That's sort of my approach. You never mentioned YFDI. That's true. Do you still think RSR is a good buy here? I'm up about 130%, but feel like my bag is far too small for such a good project. Yeah, you know, again, it sounds like you're FOMOing a bit. It's hard to say. I do think RSR is like the kind of coin that would get like a Neo effect during a bull run. They have Coinbase behind them. They have Peter Thiel is invested, right? Peter Thiel, the creator of PayPal. They're fundamentally so strong. And so it's just a matter of understanding that when alt season does get that big rocket ride, it really is going to approach and it's going to take these really fundamentally strong sort of mid caps there, and they can get these just explosive rises from hundreds of millions to billions and beyond. And so the market, as it grows to trillions of dollars, is going to support many more billion-dollar projects. So just understand that. And then let's see. Sorry if I asked, but what about Decentraland? Yeah, it's interesting, but I'm a big fan of big fan of what's it called, of NFT. I'll have my own NFT platform and multiple video games coming to market. Literally, you'll be hearing about it a week from Tuesday. A week from Tuesday is when we go live. And so I'm a big fan of NFTs, but Decentraland I've never bought or held it because I see some issues with the way they've set things up. But that said, I want all these things to work. UNN I actually do like. They had some hiccups at the beginning, but UNN Insurance is actually a really interesting project. I'm very bullish on insurance. In order for DeFi to work, you need two things. You need data and you need insurance. So you need off-chain data through oracles, and then you need insurance to insure against smart contract failure if you want billions and trillions of dollars locked up in the ecosystem. So if you have both of those, and you need both of those, and you need many pieces of insurance, I think that's kind of the strategy. Current thoughts on Matic. Matic is kind of becoming the gold standard for second layer on Ethereum, right? They're definitely very, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Yes, Sergey from Link posted about staking. You think it's soon? He rarely posts. Yeah, who knows? I mean, there's ways to. We're going to be coming out with some interesting staking news about Link soon anyway, so hold tight for that. I know that sounds really generic and vague, but that's kind of intentionally by design. Will API 3 pump like Band, or does it have less of a chance? I have more API 3 than I have Band. I'll let you guys know that. I also was a pre-sale investor, but API 3 is really, really amazing, I think. Any thoughts on BiDAO? None at all. None at all. TVK. Yeah, it's a cool NFT play. I definitely have a positive feeling towards them, but I haven't checked up on them in a while. I need to do more research. Elia, what about your offering your subscribers a chance to invest in your NFT project? Actually, that's going to happen. It's actually going to happen. So I've been engineering this. The hoops I've had to jump through to make this happen, I can't even explain how many hoops I've had to jump through to make this happen. But again, you guys will find out how much I put you guys first. I think I do the amount of opportunities I say no to prioritize your guys' interest, the amount of times I have had to jump through and do some really difficult things to prioritize your guys' interest, I can't even count. There's not even a number. So my theory is the better you guys do, the better job I've done, period. And so my measure of success is your success. And that's just, and that's why I say no to a lot of projects, because sometimes they come to me with a sweet, sweet deal, but it just I don't see enough of an upside for you guys. And so I pass, right? And so I pass, and I see it I see the project getting talked about elsewhere, right? So now I want to give away the Ledger or the hardware wallet. You guys can pick whatever hardware wallet you guys want. And we're going to go ahead and pick from the last 14 videos. So I'm going to go ahead and generate a random number here, 12. And so we're going to go to the channel here. And we're going to see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Bitcoin supply crisis. And so I'm going to go ahead and pause that, take this, and go to the YouTube random comment picker. Again, we'll go ahead and search here for comments, get YouTube comments. I'll let you guys know that if someone's a troll or saying something really rude, you guys don't deserve the hardware wallet. We'll give it to someone who's a supportive member of the community. There are too many of those to give it to a troll. And let's go ahead and pick a random winner. Troy Looper commented BTC ETH .theta Ren NFTs, gang. All right, Troy, go ahead, hit me up on Telegram or Twitter at Elio Trades, and we'll go ahead and we'll make sure that you can get the hardware wallet of your choosing, and make sure that you can keep those funds SAFU, as CZ would say. Alrighty, what else do we got here? Legend. Thank you guys. We'll be giving out more hardware wallets. Maybe I'll do it more often now. There's just so many new people. I want you guys to all have a chance to win. Thoughts on Axion? Yeah, I don't really go to those kind of just collective tokenomics schemes. In the end, what's worked for me and what continues to work for me, and I will miss out on pumps like this, right? Like I remember there was a coin called Reflector, RFI. And these coins kind of function like on-chain Ponzi's, right? They're like, if you buy in and someone sells, then their sell goes to you. And then if they unstake, then you get part of the stake. And there's like these kinds of Ponzi-nomics, right? The tokenomics are like a Ponzi. And that works while the demand works. But to me, what I love to see and what I think the future of the industry is platforms with utility where the token actually does something. Like Ethereum, if you need Ethereum to use the network, right? And that's why Ethereum is not going anywhere, because the amount of DeFi applications and genuine utilities and coins and trading ecosystems like Uniswap, those are all on Ethereum, and you need the Ether token if you want to actually use this stuff. And so that utility, that use case is something that cannot be replaced, and that is only going to go up with more usage of the network. And so to me, having a token that just does nothing, well, it might be a short-term play, but long-term, eventually a cheaper, hotter, sexier version will come out and you'll end up with a dump, right? And most people will end up losing. And that to me is just not the situation I like to involve myself in. Obviously, there are tokenomics-only coins that do work, but I just don't care, right? I do not care. I'd rather not make my gains there. I'd rather use my brain. I'd rather use my research talents. I'd rather use my understanding of the industry, technology, innovation, and I'd rather use those to focus on what could be the 1000x gains from something that completely disrupts a new industry. That's why something like an Euler that's inventing an entirely new type of derivative product that has tremendous utility, that to me is super exciting. Whether or not it performs extremely well in the first couple of days, I don't care. Like, it's something I'll probably sit on and I won't sell for a couple of years even. Because I just want to see where that goes, right? I want to see where the rabbit hole goes and if the world can adopt something like that. And if it does, the rewards for the early investors that hold on can be astronomical. And that's kind of what's the exponential math and logic I try to teach here, is that if you find these new concepts, these new coins, and they have the team, they have the grit, they have the through line, they have the use case, they have the technology, and they deliver over a long enough period of time within a bull cycle, there can be some pretty astronomical results. Can that also happen for bad coins? Sure, bad coins can pump too. Bad coins can pump just as hard. But to me, it's just how I choose to play the game, right? How I choose to play the game. If you make success and you make money, then good for you. I have no judgments, no negative feelings towards that. I just choose to approach the market the way I do, because I know that if I find a coin that checks all the boxes for me and the price analysis makes sense, the use case, the technology makes sense, everything lines up, then typically over a long enough period of time, if you're not buying at the peak of the bull market, you'll get the right result. And so that's just, like a percentage game. Like, there's going to be X percent that don't perform. It's just how it is. But the percent that do perform end up having such astronomical sort of asymmetric rewards that it's worth it. What do I think about LCX? I actually like it. I talked about it a little bit a few months ago. It's a really interesting combination of sort of utilities, crypto utilities, as well as security tokens. My buddy Lucky over there on Twitter, Capo, really likes it. Thoughts on Smart Cash? Don't know enough about it. Uniswap, still a good coin? Absolutely. I mean, you can't underestimate the value of something that is literally having more volume on it, more volume on it than Coinbase, right? You have a decentralized exchange. The first time in history this has ever happened, where a DEX is more valuable than a centralized exchange. And that's incredibly powerful. And of course, it's getting ground to a little bit of a halt with these fees. And hopefully we can see some alleviation to the gas fees. But you're going to see the decentralized exchange automated market makers like Uniswap continue to hold a really important place in the world. What Uniswap does is fantastic. Oracle bags, Bandos, API 3, Bird, Dia, anything missing? Chainlink. Obviously, you don't want to underestimate the king, right? Chainlink is like the Ethereum of oracles. That's kind of my comment on that. Thanks for the super chat, ED. Sorry, guys, that there's just so many chats. Ocean Protocol, I'm a big fan. It's on the God tier coins list as well. MakerDAO is doing really well. MakerDAO doing well again makes me really bullish on the return of DeFi. It makes me super bullish on the return of DeFi, guys. That's what's going to tick some serious boxes, right? Is when you have these big coins in DeFi starting to move, and then you'll start to see the trickle down to the more innovative, new kind of exciting stuff. I don't have any thoughts on DRC. I've been shilled on it a lot. I don't have any bags. I hope everyone does well, though. Rook. Yeah, Rook. I'm still super bullish on Rook, guys. I'm super bullish on Rook. Super bullish on Rook. Bullish on BNB. Yeah, I am. It's going to do well. They're doing a good job of doing Binance Smart Chain. Shout out to CZ. However, I just don't have any BNB. I'm focused on other plays. Guys, when you hear a token, there's another thing. There's this WISE token that's showing up in every single chat, and that's a huge red flag. So many bots saying, what about WISE? You have to get WISE. If you're hearing about a token too much, it's usually a big red flag. Big red flag. So no, I'll never touch WISE. I don't care if it goes to the moon. I'm not going to touch it. BNB plus Uni benefit from Coinbase IPO. Eval agree. I don't know quite what that means, but I don't know if Uniswap will benefit from Coinbase IPO. I don't see the connection. ETH is pumping. Is ETH pumping right now? That would be super good if ETH is pumping. Ooh, it is pumping. It is bumping. Let's see. Let me go back into the window mode here. Filters, crop. Cool. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. What do we got here? So it peaked up here at about 1260. Yeah, so it's really oof, it's close. It's close. I guess no. So this 14 was 3 years ago. Yeah. It's super close to where it was. Hopefully this peaks back up. I mean, I would love to see ETH keep tearing it up, ETH. Keep tearing it up. What else we got? You're welcome, Farouk. Any thoughts on 1inch? Not a ton of thoughts on 1inch. I like Energy Web. I have a bag, just kind of sitting there. Fundamentally really strong. It's kind of like hits me in the heart because I really like, I'm a big fan of sustainable energy solutions. It's one of the few issues I care about is climate change. I don't mean that I don't care about other issues. I care about other issues, but it's one of the few issues that actually like really motivates me to like vote and stuff. You want massive upside utility, check out Barnbridge. Yeah, they're an interesting project. They're kind of complex. I haven't done a deep dive on Barnbridge. I will have to do that. Check out Noya. Yeah, I have checked out Noya. The thing about Noya is I'm just not sure I buy the hype, but it'll probably pump like crazy. They have an Oracle partnership, but I'm not sure I don't know if I buy the through line, just the cynic in me, right? The cynic in me. And that's another thing that you'll find is because I've built products, because I've been through my own experiences in building startups. I have a bit of a cynical lens that I look at things through. And so you'll find more optimism potentially in other people. That also helps me. I don't know. I think it helps me filter through the noise a lot. Akala, Moonbeam, Fala, all crazy. Chain X, I think Kaiten will probably pump really well. We'll have to see, even though Kaiten's been, what are they called? Darwinia. I'm not like super sold on Darwinia, but, I really like, Akala for sure, Moonbeam for sure, Fala for sure. I really like them. Thoughts on VeChain? I mean, I've been a VeChain fan for a long time. They're just so big. I think they'll just pump with this altcoin major pumps. Dia opinion. I have a bag of Dia. I really liked it when it first dropped, and they just had such a big market cap inflation through coin supply. So they're cool. They're definitely a high quality Oracle, but they're not my favorite Oracle play right now. My favorite Oracle play is API 3. All right, let me catch up on some non-super chats. I'm not going to read any super chats for the next few minutes. Thoughts on Zcash? I don't know. I'm not that bullish on privacy coins. I think there's potentially a big regulation hurdle that they're going to face. Dogecoin, never buy it, never will. But for all the TikTokers out there that buy it, good for you guys. I hope you guys make sick gains. Cosmos. Yeah, Cosmos is cool. Again, another just big, heavy altcoin that just doesn't move, but it actually provides some really interesting tech. I'm actually using the Cosmos portal to do my staking for Akash. I'm going to be making a video on how to stake and delegate to Akash, and I'm actually going to be creating my own node for Akash, which is kind of a first ever for this channel. Really like what they're doing there on Akash, and I will definitely make a cool video showing you guys how to stake, and I'm hoping we can create like an Elio Trades community over there on Akash, because the incentives over there are fantastic, and I think the upside on that coin is also huge. Pond, yeah, Pond I'm still holding a lot of. They had this really messed up launch that did way too much pumping on day one, like a 700% pump. But I still think that there's a lot of fundamental strength there in Pond, Marlin, and so I'm holding a lot of my Marlin, and I'm hoping that we overcome those previous highs. But it might take a while. But again, you can see like something like a Pond is a good example of Marlin, Pond. It's a good example of a coin that probably is going through its boring period, right? I mean, this is just horrific though. It's down 92% from its day one. whoever pumped that thing pumped it too hard, right? It's just, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see these over pumps on day one. And that's why you got to be careful of these day one, releases. Here, 30 days. Yeah. Look at this. It was up here. It was actually up here at like 33 cents. If you can see this, 3 cents. And now look at it though. This is where you see the boring. This is where it gets boring, right? This is the boring phase, right? This is what we talked about. This is what we trained for, people. We trained for the boring phase. We see it bottomed out here around like 0.019, pumped up. Now it's coming back down again. Yeah, now we're seeing days and days of boring action on Pond, right? Days and days of boring action. But, you know, from what I can tell, they have a lot of really interesting utilities here. Market cap's about 10 million. Yeah, let's just say I'm holding on to my Pond, not making any predictions as to when, but I think that this thing will end up getting unboring in the future, right? And there's a lot of fundamentals and strength here. I've talked with the team. I've talked with people who know the team, and people that I know are a no BS type of people. And they have a good reputation, like these Marlin guys. They've been working for a long time. Binance was their first investor. I think Coinbase is invested in them too. Like, really interesting technology, right? So here we have a boring phase where everyone's, oh, I hate this token. It's so boring. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to dump it. I'm going to buy Bitcoin. So yeah, so I'm not saying that guaranteed this is going to moon or anything like that, but I'll just say that this isn't where I'll be selling. It's not where I'm selling. Share is in the boring phase. Yeah, Share is in a boring phase. There's other dynamics with Share, but I think Share has got a lot going on. I don't know. I did a video on it. I think it's cool. I definitely hold a bag just in case it goes and becomes this massive Chinese behemoth. XLM is pumping. You know, there's been a lot of games going on with XLM and XRP. XLM and XRP are both getting like these you know, yo-yo effects from the regulation, right? But XLM being as the same price as XRP is pretty historic. It's usually about half the price. Cosmos versus Polkadot. Polkadot has the hype right now. Polkadot is the hype right now. So I'd say Polkadot projects and Polkadot and Kusama are the flavors of the year. The flavors of the year. Sorry for everyone's ears. Okay. Yeah, so people want an update on Bondly. Bondly's like, you know, Bondly, I really love this project, partly because it was a Polkadot project launching at 2 cents. And right off the bat, it got botted up to like 30 cents here. So it was kind of unfortunate, right? This was like a good example of a launch that you kind of wanted to steer clear of because it just got bot attacked and sent all the way up to 30, and then it went up to like 20 cents. And then it's really struggled, but it made this run back up to like 20. And then it just got this like sort of big sell-off. This was as some pre-sale tokens unlocked. And this stuff happens, right? In the early phases of a project, right as a project's launching, before it's really up and running, it can get these pre-sale unlocks that end up damaging the price, right? But I think you just have to kind of wait and see. Something like a Bondly, if they deliver on all the things they're talking about, could do really, really, really well. And so, you know, you'll look back and people are all upset about this. They're upset about this when, you know, a lot of people have been waiting to buy in at 7 cents. You know, the thing launched at 2.5 cents. I was hoping to get people in around the 2-3 cent mark because I saw it going to like 10 cents pretty easily. But then it went to 30 cents and I'm like, okay, well, that was kind of crazy. And so you end up with these situations where the fireworks of the launch can kind of chew up and spit people out. But, you know, who knows? This is either, you know, this is probably, given the way Bondly's going, you know, this is, I don't want to make price predictions on Bondly because it's hard to do. But again, you want to see things get a little boring here and see where the floor is for Bondly. It looks like about 9-10 cents is the floor right now. It did pop down to 7 briefly. You just have to wait and see. Have to see what happens, right? But that's what happened here. Was there was a big pre-sale unlock and there hasn't been a lot of news. So that's kind of like the interchange. Ooh, Solana pumping hard off of Sam's tweet. Solana pumping hard off of Sam's tweet. Remember SBF here, the billionaire whiz kid saying, hey, look, if you're not happy in your bags, sell them to me. Sell them to me. Because I know what's coming. So I love that. Elio trades, crypto is pump and dump. Good way to make money? No. No, it's not. You guys, if you guys are new to crypto, do not get into these pump and dump groups. Do not do that. Do not go that route. Don't go that route. Don't. If you guys want to make something and you want it to be easy, buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. Just close your eyes and wait. If you guys want to make insane money fast, then you got to be prepared to put in the work. You guys think you can just see a ticker in some Telegram group from some anonymous person and they want to make you rich? No, you're the target. You're the target. If you think that that's going to make you rich, you are the target, right? You know, it's crypto, these altcoins and the gains, they come extremely fast, but it's hard money. It's hard money, but it comes fast, right? So you just got to understand that if you want to make those 10x's, 20x's, 100x's really quick, then you really got to put in that work because it's not going to be that easy. No one's going to hand it to you. No one wants you to get rich. You guys have to be able to take control of your destiny and put in that work. And that's what I'll leave you with, which is essentially that we have an opportunity here. I see some salty pandas. I see some salty, soggy boys. And it really is shocking to me because the opportunity in front of you guys is insane. It's incredible. And the opportunity in the altcoins right now, while Bitcoin's stealing the show, for you fighting against your emotions, for you learning to take control of those emotions, it's unparalleled in my book. And so I hope you guys take a second, reflect, go watch some of my old content. Go look at the old content. I've put out so much content trying to teach you guys how to navigate this market, teach you guys where the hot trending categories are, help you understand how to get in and layer into good coins and when they get boring. And those are opportunities for the really solid projects. And so I hope that this information is helping you guys. And if it is, I know a lot of people have been doing really well over the last few months. For the new people, don't get too antsy. Don't get ahead of yourself and don't expect that you need everything to happen overnight, or you'll probably make a lot of mistakes. So if you guys are getting value out of this, please give me a thumbs up. It's a free and easy way to support the channel. As always, remember each and every comment on this video is entered to win a hardware wallet on the very next episode. We just gave one away. And as always, I thank you so much for watching. It really means the world to me to have this community. And I will see you very soon on the next episode. I hope you're having a happy and healthy Saturday. Again, please like, subscribe, and make sure, because I'm going to be coming out with some really time-sensitive altcoin content. Some coins are already on the market. They're already going to be boring. They're already going to be in good spots. And so you're definitely going to want to have that notification bell on so you're the first person to know about the coins that I am looking at. With that said, I thank you so much for watching. My name is Elio Trades, and I will see you very soon on the next episode.